Lucy, so glad that all of you are here with us tonight. We're just taking a moment of silent reflection, beginning the way we always do, thinking about what the last week has been like, the highs, the lows, what you like to carry with you into the Sabbath, and what you like to leave behind. There's something that's happened in your life recently that you'd like to bring into this space, into our community. We'd love to hear it. Joy? So Stuart and Janice's son, Justin, just got engaged, so Mazel Tov. We're so happy for them. Wonderful. Joyce, you had something?
Went to Chicago for Halloween.
Chicago for Halloween to see your littles? Snow and the wind. Well, they beat us. That's good. Skylar, you had something?
On Halloween, I got
A big pack of candy on Halloween? That was a great neighbor. I'm sure your parents were happy about that. Karen.
Our daughter got a huge promotion in management, and she is moving into a
Wonderful. So their daughter Allie just got a great new promotion to management and is moving into a new apartment as we speak, right? As we speak. Go ahead, Linda.
Does everybody know that Joyce and Walter are in the centerfold of the Israelites?
Ooh. So for those who are online don't know why we oohed, that we have glitterati here, Joyce and Walter being in the centerfold of the Israelites, and we didn't even pay for you to be there, so that's amazing. Maybe one more for this side of the room. Oh, Mike.
Celebrating our 10-year anniversary today.
10-year anniversary today? That's awesome. That's awesome. Jim, you had one too?
2 weeks ago, I went to my home house where we had a 100th anniversary of the temple I grew up in.
100th anniversary of the temple you grew up in?
It was a miracle.
That's so cool. That's amazing. So this service is a little different than other services that you might have been to. If you haven't been, we call it Shabbat-Ish. That all of the lyrics and the words that you hear are traditional from traditional Jewish services and liturgy, but all of the way we sing it is original and all written by Rich over here in the hat. So this is our wonderful Just Love band, and this is Shabbat-Ish. And the whole point is we just want we do everything in just a couple of words. It's all on the screen, and you're supposed to sing along. You notice there's a lot of children in the room. It's a sound of life. We hope the kids will come forward. There we see some people who are standing. You're welcome to stand. If not, if you could raise your hand if you've got a spot next to you where someone could sit. Some chairs. So if you want to, you can sit, but you don't have to. It's just, we got a lot of people there, and there's also more chairs in the back if you want to expand it, or cushions in the front too. So we just hope you're part of it. Are there any guests in the room who would like to introduce themselves? You don't have to, but if you'd like to. Okay, well, I welcome all of you. We'll get you over the food later. And I welcome all of you online, that even though you're not part of our physical space, you are part of our prayer community, and we rejoice in you and so glad that you're with us tonight. So with that, we're going to go back to Hinei Tov, rejoicing and being together, singing together this song, which hopefully by now you know this new tune. welcome Debbie up to light our Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadnik ner shel Shabbat. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, who houses us with mitzvot and commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Continue embracing that light within us. This week's Torah portion begins with ascending forth. It starts, Lech Lecha, that God talks to Abraham for the first time, Abraham for the first time, and says, go forth to a land that I will show you, and you will be a blessing. So at this point, we don't know who Abraham is, what this land is, and what actually it means to be a blessing. And so the Jews, being Jews, are frustrated by not knowing. And we don't like the idea that there's this random dude that we just send off to somewhere and we figure it'll be okay in the end. And so there's a midrash, there's a sacred story, a myth that we teach about this. Do you know what it is? You should? All right. You know what it is. All right. So a lot of us are taught this as children. And so for those of us who don't know, I'll just remind you that Abraham, when he was a little boy, his father owned an idol shop. And the idol shop is how their family sustained themselves. And one day, Abraham was challenging his father and said, these idols mean nothing. What are you doing selling this? That's not who God is. And Abraham's father was really mad at him and said, don't question this. This is how we make our money. These are our gods. You just do your job. So Abraham gets a little older, and the father leaves the shop one day and leaves it in care of Abraham, who subsequently smashes all the idols except for one. The father comes back, totally enraged, and says, what have you done? And Abraham says, not me, it was that guy. It was the statue. And it forced his father to look at what actually they were doing, look at what they actually believed, and move forward. And this is the story we say about Abraham. He was chosen because he was the first one to see the unity of all things, to see that there was one God, and that these things that we create, these idols, aren't the way that we get God in our lives. And it made me think about the power of myth, that most of us who are raised as Jews are taught that at some point in their lives. And they probably know that better than some of the other stories in our Torah. And in fact, I find there was always a test in the 6th grade. We asked our kids to look in the Bible and tell us where that is. And it's always very confusing that they can't find it because it's told right alongside Torah. So what part of it is true? Is the story that we tell about the Torah true, about this man true? Is the Torah itself true? And it made me think, I was teaching Sunday school to high schoolers, and I teach an art class. So we just sort of do this art. I was teaching them how to do printmaking, and this kid who is not my student normally says, hey, Rabbi, will you just tell me the real story of Hanukkah, like why we're just here? And I was like, what's the real story? And he was like, but what actually happened? Like, what part's real? What part's history and what part is story? What actually happened? And I said, well, I can tell you that, but then we have to sort of look at everything like that. What's real, what's not, what's history, what's true, what's untrue, what's passed down, what's inherited, what's invented, what's human, what's God. And it made me think about the power of myth in general, that to call it untrue is really a disservice, because myth answers a truth that's much bigger than the essence of the whole life. It's bigger than historicity and bigger than the moment that we're in. And that each of us has these moments in our lives, hopefully just one, but maybe many. And I look around this room of the many journeys that you weren't expecting to go on and enter into, lands that you weren't supposed to get to, and they certainly weren't a blessing when you got there. Or maybe the opposite, things that surprised you and you became something else. That the myth of our people feels true in a different way. Perhaps in this grander essence of all things. That we hold all these different truths and untruths and myths as part of us, opening ourselves up to a land that we don't yet know, and hopefully when we get there are a blessing. The next song we're going to do is based on words from the Song of Songs. And usually they're the vows in a Jewish wedding. Ani l'dodi v'dodi li, I am my beloved is mine. But when it was written, the whole point of it was to understand that the people, the covenantal people, feel that way about God, and that God feels that way about you. That even in a world where you feel alone, there's a higher presence, a centered humanity that connects you to those things. So we wrote this song thinking about how you walk down the aisle when everything is before you and you don't realize what's coming. And also, you walk down the aisle and you know exactly what's coming. That we're doing that each time in life, of looking at the path ahead of us and thinking about how we're connected and the journey and the adventure that lies before us. Continue with Uri Uri, which is one phrase pulled out from Lachadodi. As we're walking into Shabbat, we're asking ourselves to wake up, because there's light coming now. speak about new paths and awakening, we have the joy of welcoming Ruth formally into our community, and also Harrison, who both of them who were immersed in the mikvah yesterday and were seen by the Beit Din, and it is our joy that we get to welcome them formally. So for those of you who don't know how we do this here, it's a little intense. So we welcome her with Torah, that she'll hold Torah, and then we'll sing Shema with her and with Harrison, and then we will shower them with sweetness. So just watch the face when you share, and also all these instruments today, we do that. But there's all different ways of welcoming, and this is to know that as much as your journey feels like it's just yours, you belong to all people, you belong to us, and in some way you were always here with us, finding your way home. So I welcome Harrison and Ruth up. If he feels like it, it's okay if you. And Skylar. Can you come help me? Will you pass this out? Your son, will you pass it out? Will you pass this out, baby? Will you help pass them out? Thank you. There's going to be lots of crinkly wrappers being passed out now. So what'll happen is that we'll be up here for a minute, and then in a moment, once you have the very crinkly, loud wrapper in your hands, we'll stand together and we'll welcome her with the Torah and continue on from there. So at this sacred and joyous moment, we renew the covenant at Sinai between God and the people Israel, recalling the words of the prophet Isaiah, "Strangers shall join them and cleave to the house of Israel." O God, we thank you for your many blessings, and we recall with reverence and gratitude all those descendants of Abraham and Sarah who have been faithful to you, and those who of their own choice have sought to serve you through faith in people of Israel. O God, grant your loving favor to Ruth and to Harrison. In this holy place, we formally welcome them into Jewish life. Knowing well the history of our martyrdom in years past, Ruth has chosen to join our people's faith, and we open our hearts to her. Strengthen Ruth in her resolve. Help her to live in fidelity to the decision she has made and to the promise she is about to utter. May she always find satisfaction and joy in the fulfillment of your sacred mitzvot, and grant her many years of strength and happiness as a worthy member of our congregation. We praise you, O God, in whose presence is the fullness of joy.
Of my own free will, I choose to enter the eternal covenant between God and the people of Israel. I choose to call myself a Jew from this point forward. I accept Judaism to the exclusion of all other faiths and practices. I promise to establish a Jewish home and to participate actively in the Jewish community. I commit myself to the pursuit of Torah and Jewish knowledge. I pray that in these ways I may continue to grow in my love of Judaism and find blessing in my decision to become one with the Jewish people. By joining the Jewish faith, may I add my willing heart and hands to our eternal task of being God co-partners to perfect the world.
We'll rise together. Ruth, you stand holding our Torah, the Jewish people's cherished treasure. It has led our way and guided us ever since we received it at Sinai, and it's been carried during times of great grief, in shreds in our pockets so that we could sew it back together out of burning synagogues, for the one and only reason of this moment, to continue forward from generation to generation. And as you hold her, we join together as a community with the eternal words of our people. And a bad part. Together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Behold, I have given you a good doctrine, my Torah. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and its paths are peace. When you were born, you were raised with the name Tiffany, meaning epiphany. That in some way there was a moment of understanding and knowing about the world. And through this process, you've taken the name Ruth, both as a Hebrew name and as your own new English name. She is a woman of dedication and loyalty, of discovery and integrity. And you are beginning to walk that path and then include us in it. So you will always be known in some way and linked to those who gave you life, and also be holding the second new name of Ruth, carrying forward from now on, and now Harrison also carries your name. Ruth bat Abraham, may you embody this and realize the faith and wisdom in your name, acknowledge your connection to the covenant through your deeds, and bring respect to you and honor to the Jewish people. We rejoice in welcoming into our midst one who willingly and devotedly helps replenish the ranks of our people, and is the gift to Temple Shalom community to call you family. As our people have done throughout the ages, I ask God's blessing in these ancient words. Yevrachecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless you and keep you. Ye'er panav alecha v'chunecha, may God's light shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisad Adonai panav alecha v'yasim lecha shalom, and God's light shines upon you. You remember this moment with crinkly wrappers and a quiet baby, and delight and joy in a room that's warm because it's full of people. May it bring you peace and health and happiness. Together as a community, we rejoice in granting us the ability to be alive for this moment in time. We're going to sing our traditional prayer of Shehechianu, and then we'll say Mazel Tov with candy. All our human vacuum cleaners can come on up as we continue with Shema. Congratulations. Right now, we think about the need for healing and wholeness, both in our individual lives and in the greater world in our country. We think about those who are in hospital beds and nursing facilities, in their own homes, those struggling with newfound illnesses and long-time ones, the invisible and the seen. We also think about those who are struggling with deep grief and addiction and the many difficult decisions that are part of life. We include in our prayers also those who bring wholeness and healing to this world, doctors and nurses and therapists and caregivers and pharmacists and friends and family, all the many people who remind us that there is more light than darkness. If you'd like to share a name of someone who's in need of healing or your own name, please share those now. Judy Avner, Jackson Bachman, Mira Barner, Corinne Belford, Sheila Boniface, Loretta Hubbard, Hava Leah, Leonard Appel, Ken Goldman, Dr. Meryl Goldman, Charles Gutman, Judith Gutman, Ethan Kadish, Gita Knudsen, Skylar Kuntz, Yael Kraus, Lee Krinick, Elaine Heitfield, Tony Janitas, Ira Lerner, Jean-Marcel Lefebvre, Lou Levy, Joan Lieb, Barry Levy, Marcy Maxwell, Ellie Mendelson, Rhoda Meyer, Eileen Ness, Nancy Newmark, Phil Ryan, David Rose, Betty Roth, Bob Rubin, Ira Shum, Archbishop Chuck Smith, Mary Capoletti Stanton, Lisa Steele, Fran Sternberg, Mahia Stoneman, Fran Victor, Chaim Ben Yaakov and Nechama. We include everyone we mention out loud and everyone in our heart and all of us in this room because we're all on a journey towards healing and wholeness in some way. We continue with El Na Rafan Allah, the first prayer of healing from one person to another from our Bible. depths of our hearts. I invite Karen up to share some announcements, and as she's on her way up, Gail, where are you going for shul and fuel tonight?
We're going to
Slats. So slats. So for those who don't know, this is shul. It's a synagogue, and fuel is food. So you shul, then you fuel, and everyone's welcome to it. You just go in. Gail's your buddy, and everyone should just go if you feel comfortable going. Everyone's always welcome. I just want to thank you so much for our amazing band, our musicians, for being here and just lifting us in prayer and space and sending us into the weekend with such joy. And to Micah for making the sound and streaming. This is difficult to do, so I appreciate that. And to Laura Wright, who is our hands-on deck in the kids' room doing art projects, so I appreciate all that.
Shabbat Shalom. I know I'm a lot shorter than John, but I'm sure I can live up to my job here. Okay. The announcements are that there are many social action opportunities for November. Please go to our website to sign up. We have Tikkun Olam with Religious School and Maslow's Army. Join our religious school families on this Sunday, the 10th. The Religious Action Center, there's an event on November 13th. The Prepare Affair for 2019 is on the 16th. It's a volunteer event organized by people working cooperatively. Cook and serve at the men's shelter on November 17th at 6 o'clock p.m. And volunteer to work with the family in asylum on November 24th through November 30th. Those are all great opportunities to help help people in social action type activity. So now the prayer for our community. We join together. May Adonai, the source of life, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless this entire congregation of Temple Shalom, together with the synagogues in Cincinnati and all holy congregations in this world. Bless our community, our children, our families, and all that is theirs, along with those who unite to establish synagogues for prayer and all those who enter them to pray, those who devote countless hours of their lives so that our synagogue may be a thriving place of spiritual welcoming. May the Holy One reward those who contribute to our community with healing, forgiveness, and personal strength. May God bless them by prospering all of their worthy endeavors, as well as those of the entire people Israel. And let us say, Amen.
And a continued mazel tov, especially to Ruth and to Harrison and your family who's joined us tonight. We're so glad to have you. We will continue into our prayer of morning. We'll begin with Psalm 23 in the Hebrew. I'll put it up on the screen, and then in the English, and you're welcome to join with me, whatever's comfortable. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai ro'i la'achzar, v'nodesh et yarbit zaini. Amei minuchot yan haleni nafshi yoshvev yancheni, v'gmalet tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech b'tzet al mavet lo yira ki atay madi, shivtacho mishantacha hema yanachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neget arai. Di shanta v'Hashem roshi kosiv rayai. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai. V'shavti b'beit Adonai la'orech yamim. Adonai, my shepherd, I lack for nothing. In meadows thick with grass you lay me down. Across streams serene you guide me. My life you restore, leading me serenely in well-worn paths of justice to glorify your name. And even when I walk in a valley dark as death's shadow, I shall fear no ferocity, for you are with me. Your staff and your walking stick, they reassure me. You set a table before me along with my enemies. You rain rich oils round my head, my cup overflowing. For certain goodness and the love of your covenant will run after me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in God's land for long days, long days. Remember those who've passed in this season time, and we see you and think of you in this difficult time as you remember those you love. We remember Frida Rosen and William Bine, Leonard Seligman, Max Dechter, Marion H. Diedrichs, Mary Z. Rubin, Paula Strauss, Dolores Zeke, Charles Melzer, Linwood Riddick I, and Sandy Levy Melser. If you would like to add another name to the people that are remembering or repronounce one, please share those names now. If you are in mourning or commemorative yard site, please rise first if you're able. We acknowledge you and we see you. Not knowing your pain, but having stood there at some point in our lives too, we see you and hope that you feel our comfort as we rise together as a community. For all those we mentioned out loud, those we hold in our hearts, and for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, as we continue with our words of affirmation, Kaddish Yatom. Itkadal v'kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirete v'amlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed zechol be'Yisrael, v'galav v'zman kari v'imru, Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Vita dar, vita le, vita lal shme, kedusha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, ta'amiram be'alma v'imru. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Please be seated as we continue with the words from Psalm 23. Ki ata imati lo irara, I shall not fear because I am not alone, because you are with me. Is sharing in communion with each other, of sharing in bread, challah, and kiddush and wine, acknowledging that what we experienced together here in these last 45 minutes was holy. So we're going to pass out the wine or juice and bread. And thank you, helpers. Happy helpers back there. We'll be passing it. And once a lot of you have some, we'll start with the prayers. All right, it's come around. So I think we'll just do this. We keep going. If you have your wine, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. With your mouthful of bread and sticky with juice, we'll continue. We'll go back to Hine Matov, acknowledging the joy of being together.
Achim gam
connect to one another to receive a blessing. If you are not a toucher, just say, no thanks, I'm not a toucher. If you're online, put your hands out. Whatever is meaningful in this moment to feel like you are receiving blessing and light and hope. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'chunecha. May Adonai's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And when God's face shines upon you, may it bring the sound of happy children in a world of promise. May it bring you courage to do the things you need to do in this world. May it unfold a path before you that surprises you and offers you blessing and adventure. And may you be strong enough and full of hope enough to make it possible. And together we say, Amen and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.